protected in.
Oh, Kisei! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the LCO delivered by Menulog. We got one game remaining for this beautiful Monday. We're in week 8, day 1, lots of big games. I guess an upset earlier and then some games that were pretty much formalities, a little bit of interesting things going on in them. But now is where things get crazy because Chiefs, the Alpha Predators, kind of like my friend Rengar here, are up against Order, and Chiefs still undefeated. No one really able to match them so far here in the LCO.
Yeah, certainly the case, and it's just crazy to see that, you know, the reigning champions in Order have been quite convincingly crushed by the Chiefs. Only 10 kills they managed to find across 2 games. The Chiefs just still are in another class of their own, and they've had moments where they've been challenged, but not enough to ever feel like there's a moment where they're going to lose in these best of ones.
Certainly feels that way. Now, Order, they are a team which are currently sitting pretty in second place, but still 5 wins behind Chiefs. And they had a little bit of success last week, but similar to, I guess, what we've seen from PGG, that mid-jungle have just been working on things this split so far and trying to figure out the sweet spot. Have they found it yet, and will today be the day?
Well, today's actually a really interesting test for them because Puma's also back.
True.
So we've been seeing improvements from their mid-jungle, but we've also seen a substitute ADC playing for 2 weeks, and they still went 4-0. Chiefs and Order, the only 2 teams, I believe, that has had 2 consecutive 2-0 weeks back-to-back. So both feeling really comfortable and starting to find their form coming into this one. Ooh. And you can't help but think the addition of Big Puma Yushi there will tip them over the line to be genuine contenders in this game.
I guess it's also that form check, you know, missing 2 weeks can maybe change a couple of things in your gameplay, maybe give you a fresh outlook on what's going on. Either way, Order, look, they still have very solid contenders in every single position. But the thing is, the chemistry, it's just there for the Chiefs. And no matter what you do against them, it's like Aladoric, this man, he's always there and he's always got a bloody answer.
He does always have an answer for every single support players out there because he is just probably the best performing support we've seen so far. It's just ASMR to my eyes because it's so satisfying to watch such a good support player on the Rift. But I do want to mention that Order is actually, well, Order used to be known as a team that weren't the best at best of ones, but now they're actually second, and they're quite comfortably second, where we always knew them as that best of 5 team. So I'm actually looking forward to what Order has for the upcoming playoffs.
Well, looking at last game, Chiefs actually played that triple global comp, which was very interesting. I saw Nocturne locked in, always get a little bit excited when that happens. And I wouldn't mind that again today. But with this new patch coming in, are we expecting any of the players to be picking anything different to what we've seen, or just go with what works?
I don't think they're going to change anything. I think Arthur, much like Seaman, 15 games, 5 unique champions. He just says, lock me in Viego, lock me in Wukong, and, you know, job's on, gets it done. So I think it's really going to be another case of him saving all those crazy picks when it comes to playoffs and making sure that Order have nothing to try and take away and repeat history.
Very true. What about on the Order side of things? We know that they've had a couple of spicy picks.
Goodo, I caught you playing Master Yi quite a lot in solo queue, so maybe tonight's the night? Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe. I feel like the issue with that is when he played Belveth that other time, that didn't go super well. That was up against Chiefs, and they
That was a tough game, though, because they
was
had
that Chiefs?
Yeah,
That
they had a Belveth Corky Vayne, so
Yeah.
they just went triple range, and it was like nothing happened. It's like an even game for like 20 minutes, I think, and then Chiefs was like, hang on a minute, like we can just engage and win. So.
And they straight hard counted them with the amount of CC they had as well.
Yeah.
Your friend,
My
Arthur,
friend, your friend, our friend
our
of
friend.
the LCO. So welcome to tonight's interview, Arthur. Hope you've been doing well, mate. So how is the weather up there in Brisbane?
It's pretty cold, honestly. Our room is like always freezing. I don't know what's going on in Brisbane, but I'll try focusing in game.
Try to have some hand warmers because playing League with cold hands is actually impossible. How do you out-mechanic people like that, you know? But let's talk about the match you guys are going to play. So you guys are going against this new version of Order where we've seen some really good stuff coming out of Kisei and Guro. So what do you actually think of this new duo heading into tonight's match?
I think they're playing like a scaling comp, which is I don't really like it, and I also think it's really bad. So I don't really care about what they're doing. Us, we're just doing what we always do, and we're gonna win.
Well, I don't doubt that, but at the same time, this new patch, is there anything that makes it spicy for the Chiefs in particular? Are there any buffs that anyone's really happy about from the team?
Honestly, this week doesn't really change that much besides Sivir, so we're gonna see just same thing, guys.
Potentially, we might even see a Sivir. Well, thank you for joining in tonight's interview. Arthur, I'm going to let you go and have you prepare for your match, and best of luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Always good to chat with the big man. And look, you guys pretty much spoke to him before I asked that question. I thought maybe there'd be something spicy in there, and he's like, nah, it's cold, but I'm focused on the game. What about champs? Nah, doesn't matter.
He did mention the
Still picking
Sivir.
the same.
He did mention the Sivir, which I think we are going to see a little bit more of than perhaps just voice as time passes.
Yeah.
But there's also been, like, even in other regions like the LPL, you're seeing a little bit of Sivir here and there, but the answer is always like an Alistar or a Trist or something, like super aggressive into it.
Ooh.
And that's what I want. I just want aggressive 2v2 bot
Yeah,
lane.
Sivir's so short range that if you
Little bit
play
of
melee
alley.
supports, then you kind of just get engaged on, and that's the main weakness.
I wonder if we could make that one happen. You guys make things happen, and it's beauty, it's chaos, it's Twitch points. By watching the show, you put them on Dare fan votes, and then you get to tell us how you think this game's going to go. I'm not going to be surprised if this is still one of those 95-5 affairs, because Chiefs haven't lost. But everyone that does go for order, if the unthinkable happens, well, that's a lot of Twitch points you guys get. That's all I'm saying. Could use those on things like emotes, and then flexing. Isn't there like a 5 million Twitch point flex? I think there was.
I've never made it
We got
past
2
the
mil.
10,000.
There was one to like get VIP or something in the chat. I think
Bet
it
every
was.
time all in.
Something like that. We don't go in Twitch chat anymore, only on the very odd occasion. Prediction time. No one going for that 5% shot. I think, actual chances of it happening, I think it's definitely more than 5%, but Chiefs, even if it is like a 60-40 affair, they're always still so solid on the
I think
60.
the reality is if you go against the Chiefs, you're expecting to lose. But like if the Chiefs lose, we're all just going to celebrate that like teams can keep up with the Chiefs, right?
Yes.
So like it's a happy prediction wrong situation.
Yeah.
But like I'm never going against the Chiefs right now.
That 5-win gap that's on the scoreboard just seems that much more achievable. But there's always part of me that's like, perfect split. It's there.
We're
you know?
hoping, surely. I mean, it'd be cool to see, maybe for order, right? The fact that if Chiefs do go 3-0 like they did in split 1 order, like, oh, it's okay, we're ramping best of 5s, that's when we beat you. But like, yeah, a perfect split would be crazy.
Yeah.
That'd be history for sure.
Kitty, if Order win this, where's it through?
It's going to be through Kissei, and I'm pretty sure Kissei can't pick LeBlanc into Tallywacker because Tally has Lissandra, he has TF. You can't ever jump onto Tally and mechanics max him. So I'm assuming both mid laners will be looking to play side lane because they've been playing great.
Well, let's see what they pick, what they play. Who knows? It's my turn to eat some 5-gun, but it's your turn to go and watch Champ Selector.
Thank you very much. Yes, the final game of the day, and a good chance for us to see what happens. And I'm really glad straight away out the gates I'm seeing a Lissandra ban, because that is the most banned champion against the Chiefs, about 50% of the time, and Tally got to play it twice in their last meeting, so good adaptation. Let's see what they can do with it.
Yeah, and the LeBlanc ban. So they aren't going to give Kissei the opportunity to play this champion, even if the Lissandra was available. But it's not. That is going to be taken off the cards, so LeBlanc will be respectfully given a response. Seraphine and Talia both taken away. Lots of mid lane champions is really the summary of the ban phase for this one, Skimmy. As we move towards our first pick, we're going to see a Poppy. We're always going to see a Poppy. It seems to be the name of this week, the name of this patch. Looking at the response, however, is the question, because there's no Renata. You can still go your Aphelios if you want, but I feel like you don't have to force your bot lane as much as you would otherwise want to. And Chiefs being on red side, if Sivir is an option, you might want to hold the AD carry role. You could consider Swain. It may still be seen as a flex pick, but Na's still up. And Na seems to be best in slot, just pickable at all times.
And that's
So.
what begs the question, right? What do you value more for, Arthur to lock in one of the champions, or for Tapoon to
Tank
get
playing.
his pick of the litter? So they go for the GP instead. So you still got all the options like, a Wukong, a Viego.
Yeah, but
A Lee Sin, all up there.
is this the first time that we've seen Topoon actively blind pick the Gangplank when things like the Nara and Cannon are still available?
Certainly in
right?
recent memory,
he's
yeah.
not actively choosing to have the counter pick, and the Chiefs on red side opting into this situation does make me feel like they have some picks for bot lane. They're really hiding jungle for one, but they know their jungle matchup. I think this is just a bot lane match for the Chiefs, whatever the draft is. That could be Sivir.
Yeah, it could be Sivir. Yeah.
They're
and
still up, to be fair.
Last time it was, from memory, it was a lot of AD carry bans actually forced Race to play the Kaiser.
Azir Kayle, Order have just switched roles with Mammoth.
Wow.
That's absurd. They've gone all in on scaling. I was going to say, like, you could see something like this, but at the same time, like, Zeri Yuumi is still up. So it may even be more viable to lock in a jungler and to leave bot lane entirely free so that you can pick whatever combo you would like. And honestly, that Draven Hover might just be messing with the minds of Order, just putting it in their brain saying, we do have Draven. Don't you forget about it.
Don't you forget. I can
And
certainly pop off.
And if they ban it, then rent-free.
Yeah, for sure. Wasn't even going to draft it. Living in your head, for sure. Viego locked in, though, which is, yeah, certainly one of the champions out of the 5, right, that after World Play cycles, really, in those last 8 games. Viego, Zen, or this champion here, has been a big advocate for making sure its win rate looks really phenomenal. Always finds those worlds in which you can get multiple resets. As the Jinx is denied, same with the center. Going to be exciting to see Puma back in action, obviously. Perfect competitive start, you'd say, for Hooper. Only 17 years old, 4 games, 100% win rate. You really can't ask for better than that. Perhaps it's inspired Puma in a way, right? Say, I'm back on into the starting roster.
Might put a pep in his step, you're right.
Absolutely.
Jinx gone. I mean, Aphelios could follow, just in terms of champions that fill a similar role. Both of those picks could be seen. Raze plays both of them as well. Also, keep in mind, Rakan simply exists. So, listen, so rent-free. So rent. I feel like Order are now looking for a Zeri pick. If you're going to go for the Draven ban, that makes sense. Chiefs get the first choice here, right? So they could pick the Zeri. They could deny the Zeri Yuumi. They could leave options open. Kayle and Azir are there. Order really wants something that wins lane. And you heard earlier today, Aphelios is the most winning lane champion of a lot of the scaling options. And we don't want Order to fall prey to the, I think this is a Vayne angle. And they just go Vayne Yuumi and we watch them lose in 20 minutes.
Yeah, wouldn't feel the greatest. It does seem teed up to either be an Aphelios Rakan or an Aphelios Nautilus if you just want some hard engage, especially if you're going to go into a Zeri and a Yuumi. Worth noting also that Chiefs did miss a ban. They just didn't ban. So they've left one up for free, and I don't really think it's really upset the outcome of this draft.
I don't think it has too much, no. I mean, first and foremost, compositions completed here for both respective teams. The Chiefs have engage. They have early game. They have pressure everywhere, right? Gangplank scales. Aphelios scales. Swain for team fighting as well. You know, with every passing item gets stronger. But they have such a solid foundation of strength early that they can work with that and snowball a lead out of control. The Nautilus pick from Alidoric is the perfect example of this. They see the Yuumi, they lock in the Nautilus, so they lock in the Alidoric. Really does kind of feel that way with no hesitation. So they know what comp they're after. Lots of good crowd control, good front-to-back team fighting with a flank angle potentially there from Topoon if it comes to it. Order have Kayle, which is insane for scaling, Azir, which is insane for scaling, and a Zeri Yuumi, which was insane for scaling.
I'm getting some very worrying flashbacks already to the last meeting they had, where it really was this exact same similar concept of, you know, we are just going to scale. You're going to, you know, grant us 20 minutes of a passive affair. And then, yeah, it just kind of exploded because they had so much hard engage that Chiefs said, well, why are we giving you all this respect? You really can't do much. So it's curious to me that Order are going to sort of wind back the clock and say, well, let's just try it one more time, different variation, but the same sort of output.
Yeah, and that is my legitimate concern here as well. So I'm glad that you picked up on that when I was very aggressively alluding towards it.
Sure.
Maybe it is too much scaling. Maybe they have given Chiefs too much of a window to get leads early, and maybe they are going to fall behind early. I do think that Zeri, as a pick, fundamentally can work with Yuumi, can have some points of strength early, but not comparatively to perhaps the Aphelios and the Nautilus, right? So the direct comparisons here is that if Order somehow manage to go even through the early game, then they're winning. If they somehow get a lead, then the miracles do happen. But if they get to late game, not too far behind, then they are incredibly powerful. They just need to utilize the small windows that they have in the early and mid game where they are stronger. Like Kale's level 1 is actually underrated. Actually, he's quite strong. And Gangplank, while he can harass pretty constantly with Q, and you would actually say Gangplank is quantified as a ranged champion as far as laning is concerned, right? Because his harass is ranged. I do think that Kale still has small windows with a Poppy being there, but easier said than done.
Certainly is easier said than done, and as you can see, a bit of a game delay. We've got another lobby remake, so we'll be a few moments before we jump right back into the action to close out day 1 of week number 8. But there's the draft. That's what we're talking about, and that's, I suppose, us vocalizing some of our concerns, because we have seen a hyper-scaling draft like the one that would have put together work for other teams.
Yeah.
But that's the concern, right, is you're going up a team like Chiefs who will just punish you for that. So it's not to say that their comp is bad, it's just will you be given the inches or the moments you need to allow it to reach its true potential, because we have seen, as you mentioned, you know, the Nautilus or the Aladorican bot lane. I can't fault you for calling it that, because, you know, when we had all these enchanters coming into Split 2, he was saying, nah, I'm playing Nautilus still. So they've certainly got plentiful engage, and same for the Swain, right? The fact that he was the Imperial Mandate debut.
I mean, what Order do have is creativity. They have a lot of unique pathing that they can make, right? Zeri over walls, Poppy with their Hex Flash, Azir as well can cover a lot of different terrain and be quite useful for getting around the map and navigating team fights creatively, but they don't really have engage. So I think a lot of this game pans down to scaling, playing around objectives, playing around Drake and Baron, namely, and of course the Herald, to try and actually forge themselves a lead in this game order. Where, of course, the direct comparison on the other side here is that they have engage everywhere, so their jungler will be playing more for lanes.
Sure.
And that's probably the biggest difference here. I think Order want objectives. I think Chiefs just want to fight. They just want to biff.
Absolutely.
At all costs.
Tell me you want to fight with a Viego and a Nautilus. Like, of course, you want to be going in. And it does beg the question, right? You know, we're getting a Poppy first pick. We saw it as a first ban, but to justify it as a first pick when we're seeing the likes of Anar and Azeri all up there, Azeri getting drafted in the last rotation when these are all high 90% presence champion. It's crazy to see just how many meta champions are up and available right now, how many pocket picks were denied, and what was allowed to go through.
I mean, the addition of Poppy has also changed draft a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it was Parby that tweeted, it's like, Poppy has single-handedly ruined junglers' stats. Because they do nothing but sit back and peel, get like 2 assists and an ace, and like, I'm helping. It's almost like Senna has ruined ADC stats completely.
It's so hard to decipher like how players are doing when you know the stats are muddled up with the fasting Senna. You're not wrong.
How do you track CSD?
You don't.
How do you track farm?
You just have to completely separate those two, otherwise you just get lost in it. But I mean, Poppy definitely does raise a good point. I mean, let's bear in mind he was once upon a time back in the LCO playing full, what was it, lethality Eclipse, I believe it was, like a Jarvan, and just went in and said, I'm just going to one-shot people. You know, I'm tired of just being this assist.
He's also a Fiddlesticks player.
He was.
Let's sit here and talk about Parbu for a while, shall we?
Let's bring back Nocturne mid. Nocturne mid, Fiddle in the jungle, we turn the lights out, and suddenly everyone's gone.
I want that comp back. I unironically think Gravitas should pick that composition tomorrow and just win. I don't care who they play against. I think that comp can win by itself.
Make it happen.
The other thing with Poppy is that it's building the same way that Viego is. So it feels like junglers have just like hit a switch and they've said, well, I'm not killing anyone anymore. The Viegos in particular doing no damage in a lot of their games. It feels like they've just found a build that allows them to do no damage more efficiently. Because it's cheap.
What allows me to stun and ult.
Yeah, it's cheap, it has damage, it still allows you to get resets in fights. And the thing with Viego is if you get a reset in fights, you get their items anyway.
True.
So like it doesn't actually matter how strong or behind you are. If the person that you're killing is strong, you're good. Like, you're actually good to go for the rest of the team fight. So.
How good is it when you can steal away like an Immortal Shield, both from an AD carry, and suddenly you're just like, oh, I'm getting a pentakill. I'm Viego, by the way. And you're just like, that's illegal.
Steal a Relic Shield away from a support player and last hit a couple minions in lane for some bonus gold.
Why not? Well, it looks like we're ready to go and loading back in with that lobby having now been remade to finish talking shop and get ourselves focused on this battle at the top of the standings. Still a undefeated Chiefs up against Order. A rematch of that grand final to close out Split 1. A fixture that has always seemed to favor Chiefs in the best of 1. And will it still be the case to close out in this third and final round robin? We certainly get ourselves turned towards the playoffs, which are only a few weeks away now. Can anybody really look to upset the Chiefs? We've seen teams go blow for blow with them, but never enough for us to be worried that the game's not going to be won.
Does feel like every week the Chiefs have been slightly more beatable in how they've looked. It doesn't mean that they are by any means, but Order 4 wins on the trot. I would say of all teams in the LCO right now to be able to have a proper crack at taking the Chiefs on, it would be Order. A difficult to execute draft to say the least, but you've got a lot of faith in these players, a lot of faith in someone like BioPanther to find the angles, you know, to do what other teams cannot do. And Puma, of course, being reintroduced back into the squad. High hopes for, of course, what Order can provide now that he has returned.
Certainly is, given his stats are absolutely phenomenal when it comes to the laning phase. He will farm up a treat, maybe not always entertain the idea of a straight 2v2, but will certainly be relevant coming into those later team fights when objectives could just be the name of the game. And if we're talking about laning strength, then Aphelios is certainly up there. And Major sparked this entire conversation as to why Raze has chosen that with everything up and available. There we go, loading into the Rift for the final time tonight, the game you've all been waiting for. The final showdown, the finale and the fireworks to give us a real insight at the top of the table. Well, as we load into this one, let's check in this time with Babip from the side of Chiefs. And Babip, I have to ask, I mean, you've come into this one having had two very convincing wins up against Order. So what really separates the two of you?
It's kind of hard to say specifically, like, what separates us. We still think that Order is, like, a strong opponent, but, like, right now in the league, we kind of feel like we're just uncontested from anyone. So it's kind of hard to say, but it will be interesting to see today. Yeah,
and is it anything to do with the draft per se? Because, I mean, we're seeing a very similar draft from the last time you actually went up against them, right? Investing heavy in, what, triple scaling it feels like. So is this almost a blessing or a burden, would you say, coming into this best of one?
I think we mostly try and draft like early game, and in this draft now, it looks like they've gone for scaling, so it's just going to be it's like a comfort zone for us, to be honest, so we're pretty confident about this. Yeah,
it almost seems to me as if, you know, you've done this before, so there's no shock factor, no surprises. Well, we're going to jump into this game, Babip. Wish you boys the best of luck, and hopefully the undefeated streak continues.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, quite an interesting start to this game, to say the least. It actually does just result in Hex Flash users trading their flash. Nothing actually comes from it, but if you watch that back, one of the most interesting flashes you'll see from Goodo imaginable. But it does dodge the hook. So so we take those. You can see, of course, 74-26. Timmy is the Dare fan vote, which is still surprisingly towards the Chiefs. That's maybe the most even we've seen a Chiefs game as far as predictions are concerned. All things considered, what Babip said as we get into this game does ring true. Order is scaling. Chiefs are in their comfort zone playing early game. As they collide, let's see how this plays out. Puma needs to, I think, to survive this.
Yep, can he dodge across the wall? Is he going to preemptively wait this one off? It's around the corner and hits him with the stun. And that really will be all it is. But there's the max range hook. And that's a huge trading pattern now that Raze can find. And yet as a Yumi, but the Ignite is held. Next hook. Kills on.
I was about to say Alidoric has no flash, so really there wasn't too much follow-up to be had, but Alidoric will find a way. Making Nautilus look insanely broken yet again is the support of the Chiefs. Top lane.
Here we go. Tapoon's flashing in aggressively. He wants to hit that trial by fire. He wants to hit that parlay. He wants to just send warning shots.
I mean, message received. Tapoon doesn't want you to have anything for free. You will earn every single bit of farm that you get. This wave, though, is going to start pushing and pressuring towards BioPanther's tower. Cost still in terms of health is going to be very high in the meanwhile. Goodo is looking bottom, hasn't been spotted, but he's about to be collapsed on. Has confirmation now, he sees Arthur.
Arthur just waiting to be stunned up against that wall right there. Wondering if Goodo was going to use that Hex Flash for a second, but held on.
He didn't even know he was there. There was a chance that Goodo just stays patient, looks for a gank bottom, but loses his cool, perhaps. Was afraid of being collapsed upon, which is a very valid fear.
Oh, what's happened here in the mid lane? Tally's just had an absolute run of it with Kisei, really drawing him down low on HP and on mana. He's going to flash forward, and that's the fadeaway auto. Tally, stop it. That was perfect. Now into the bot lane. Order feel pressured to do something. Can they salvage something? Ignite goes out on towards Goodo, and there is the Graviton Poppy. You cannot run away. The hook! Rusty, that hook was a beautiful double if I've ever seen it, but a great flash.
Great attempt from Alidoric, but still the counter gank too strong from the Chiefs. Recall going to get cancelled there more than once here, but I do think that Arthur may want to stick around. Just look at that wave. You overstep your bounds even a small amount like that.
It's on. And Puma's just going to die, surely. Exhausto's through, and it's just not enough to shove all that damage that goes their way. This bot lane, sublime.
And Chiefs, once again, you pick scaling into them. You look at how they play, how aggressively they play. Mid lane just straight up gets a 1v1. You can't ask for much more. Hook doesn't miss. Goodo is here, however. Alidoric, no mana.
Yeah, even if it is a Yuumi, they certainly don't want it because it is going to fall on down. Goodo flashing away. He's going to take you. They're returning to the scene of the crime and finds Order's first kill.
And at least gives them something back. The question and the challenge that we have to raise for Order is, what exactly are you hoping to achieve if you're Goodo down there, right? Like, why are you trying to make your team fight when you're honestly still just trying to scale? It felt like they're just doing a little bit too much for them across the map. This top wave is devastating, though. There's no good thing for Order besides getting that kill, but even that kill was just a comeuppance for the better play from the Chiefs that happened prior. I don't know if Goodo's done a top camp.
Doesn't look like it, does it? Feels like he spent age at least 3 times in that bot lane. It's only been 5 minutes, Rusty. I mean, it's crazy. The fact that Chiefs has just had the run on the mill. And he's been trying to farm champions like he's aiming to farm these camps. Nothing worse for me than when you see multiple lanes at once all work in your favor. There it is once again, level 6 for them in the top lane, but bottom lane is where we're looking, and Corporal is ever so lucky. Cannon Barrage snipes him from top to bot. Oh, the communication is perfect.
You better believe top wind's looking. Hook. Oh, if that hit the turret, that could have been interesting. Arthur's obviously been spotted here. Goodo is in the area to protect. You can stop a Viego engage just by being Poppy. So it is going to fizzle. Really well done by Goodo to position himself to at least be here. But the bot lane at 2v2 from the Chiefs is out of control. Now 4-1 in kills. They are starting to run away with this game early. Time and again, we're going to have this conversation on how do you beat the Chiefs? How do you play against the Chiefs? What does it look like? And time and again, we see teams pick scaling into them and lose early.
Here's that continued conversation as do you draft for the late game and hope you get away with it and find the answers necessary to cruise through the early and mid to reach that point of power, or do you just draft that early game and try and match them blow for blow? But ultimately, here we go. It is the Chiefs in their comfort zone, as Babbitt pointed, and certainly only 7 minutes in, showcasing that it's not just empty words.
The thing is, right, like, and I don't say this with total confidence in how strong Zerayumi is as a 2v2, but I feel like if you're going to draft Kayle Azir, you probably do want something that is stronger early to be seen in A lane. Because it feels like 3 scaling champions in a disengaged tank jungle, which is purely about keeping your lanes alive. But they're all kind of losing. And I just, like, in my mind, it's like, are the Chiefs just too good? And, like, that's fair, because then it's not a draft thing, right? But is it worthwhile to draft 3 scaling lanes instead of 2 and just having a lane to play around? Because, like, most drafts will have a win condition late game, but they'll usually have a bridging point or a bridging champion. That's why, like, Lee Sin is picked with a LeBlanc. They get prio mid, and then they play for their side lanes that are scaling champion. Gank the Jinx lane. This is... Azir gets a lot of prio normally, but it seems like the Swain has a very good measure of that matchup and can control the 1v1 fairly handedly. It might just be equal prio. And so you kind of lose that as a platform to work with. And if you've lost that, then what do you actually have?
Lock me in Ezreal Karma, and we'll call it a day. Was the most played champion this entire split, but perhaps just mind controlled by the fact that there are so many strong champions up and available, having already drafted so much scaling. Was Zerayumi still there for the taking?
This is where, like, I would go Trist Ali or something.
Sure.
You know, like, if your opponents have locked in a Philios, I wouldn't be afraid of that.
Has shown us he can play the Alistair Corporal.
Keep in mind, of course, the Chiefs did 5P their support, which is a very valid strategy and denies that as a potential point of strength, especially if you're going to lock in Kale Azir in your first 3 picks. You do want to hold the support role to make sure they can't do anything cheesy down there. It's not going to be like a Kate Morgana.
Yeah, certainly don't miss those lanes.
Herald to be summoned.
Well, this time, when all the junglers collide, we do have level 6s online for literally everybody. No time to worry about whether or not this is the time to summon. They will just instantly summon, having used the Herald.
See, mate.
And that one's just going to get punted away. So Chiefs will have to do it all over again, crashing a second wave.
What is the point? It's going to charge anyway. Oh,
Fighter goes out. That's the depth charge onto the entire team. Cannon Barrage goes across. Some of the healers there, but Goodo has been sniped by Raze, who gets exhausted after the damage has come out.
Swain also in the area, so Tally going to deter them from staying at the turret. Why use the Poppy ultimate to delay the inevitable is the question that I cannot answer. Wave going to crash mid. It seems like it's going to be all kept as well here. Biopanther's still going to be the primary win condition for the team. Kisei farming really well. Let's consider that the map is still, 10 minutes in. Everyone's getting a lot of CS on Order's side. I don't think the Chiefs have done enough to outright win this game, but they have so much control through bot. They've had so much priority and movement through mid that Arthur just gets to keep playing for bottom lane. It's not the first time he's done this, but you break that lane open and you just unleash Aladoric on the map.
We've seen what certainly Aladoric and Arthur can do together. The one that always will ring true to me is when they played the Rakan and Wukong and just 3-man knockups on cooldown wherever you went. If you wanted to try and wrestle some vision control or make a play for a certain objective, it was just impossible. We might see that fate ring true once again, as Arthur is going to show us that the Chem Tank and the sword is just fake. He's saying Blade of the Rune King is my pick of the litter. I want to do damage.
That he will do. Of course, everyone on their team honestly has a fair amount of it. I do think that if you can have like a Swain mid lane, pretty valid to still want to do high DPS to compensate early. Also is going to be the Imperial mandate. Swain as the sole AP of the team has gone for the more supportive build instead of something like the Leandris perhaps, but there's not many tanks for the side of Order, so the early Imperial mandate straight into another AP item, still going to be very high DPS overall once that Rylai's is done. It's a very cheap 2-item spike.
Huge spike, which coincides quite nicely with them wanting to be aggressive in this early phase. They got the first Dragon, they got the first Herald, and there's a second spawning, so if there was a fight to break out, they would be equipped to take it. Up by 3,000 gold at the moment, and with 2 buffs to their name. Question becomes, how much more pressure can they deliver? Yes, bot lane is a strong spot. Puma is going to find the angle so he can just dash across this wall and get out for free, but then decides against it, so that gives Aladoric a chance to shine and use the depth charge. Out goes the lightning crash. Puma now going to try and be very clever with these mechanics. Heartbreaker goes out and he is dead! I'm not sure what happened there, Rusty. Maybe he thought we could see a montage. But he's died and Race survived.
I think he just looked at the state of where Chiefs were and decided he's not going to be able to dash through the wall, though there was still absolutely an angle to do so. Hooks don't miss.
Stop it. That's a hook. Surely they follow this one up. Arthur is looking for it, wrapping around. He's still very low, but Raze will settle just for taking this turret with those chakrams.
It's just becoming really obnoxious how good the Chiefs are at playing around this bottom lane. First of all, Aladoric just constantly hitting hooks on Nautilus, making the champion look so broken. And then Ray's obviously able to follow up because he has the Ophilia pick. Arthur constantly hovering. And you will see Tally just from the longest distances press W, constantly to threaten. Just be there, even in spirit, just doing an extra 80 damage.
It could be a moment, though, for Order to try and answer back. So Puma jump straight in into a cannon brush. Rusty, no! It's a rampage, and that's a double.
Uh-oh.
And that looked... Would have looked juicy, but Puma has just been absolutely done.
Yeah, he's too far behind. I mean, he's 0-3. That was, as far as windows are concerned, there was a world that you maybe look at that if you had ult, but he used the ultimate at that last skirmish. I don't know if Corporal had exhaust, but I'm not seeing a lot of stars aligning here for Order. And again, you're talking about win more situations. They aren't winning, so you can't win more. They're trying to right the ship But what do you do as BioPanther and Kisei in this situation? Because it is so devastatingly bad. And you just want to farm. You just want to scale.
Yeah. And that's
Every
what they're
time
doing.
you try to just sit here and farm, you're watching the rest of the map crumble.
That's exactly what they're doing, isn't it? But yeah, they can't help but shake the fact that my team is falling around me. The gold lead is growing. Whilst I can say, look how well I am doing individually, keeping up pace with my lane counterpart. Checking in with the total golds, and it tells a very different story. Ray's the most fed in the game. No surprises there. He is 5-0.
About time Alidoric missed one.
It is about time. Someone would have had to check his PC otherwise.
Yeah, it's getting ridiculous. Free Herald here, Skimmy, and they just broke the top lane outer turret prior. So, as far as I'm concerned, you just place it mid, you have all of the outer turrets broken, the map is open, and it is free real estate for you to just continue to press the attack, continue to play forwards, continue to play aggressively.
Now Dorot under no pressure just to clear out that vision for free, despite 3 members of Order being in the area. Lane flips have already taken place. Chiefs deploying their bot lane to the mid already, having taken that bot tier 1. It makes sense with that second Herald. As all the time in the world does after to decide where he uses that second one. Well, another 90 seconds at least until that next Drake, and well, they're on course for a very quick soul point.
This is a very difficult place to be the Zeri. Puma now isn't going to go mid. Kisei doesn't want to go to the side lanes. He has the wave clear out of both of them. So now this Zeri is going to be relegated to dealing with Swain, but Swain pushes really fast and will just be able to walk mid. And every single time that Swain walks mid, they'll be able to make a play, such as the Herald being summoned. That should just be a turret. And if Kisei's not careful, it'll be his life with it.
And I'm just keeping a tab on where Tally is right now, waiting very patiently by the Raptor camp. Finding the right moment to jump on in and drag him back. There is the slow first of all. The never move comes across, but they got the sight set on Gudo instead. A second headbutt charge goes across, which is fantastic. Gudo once again receives the Summoner Hill from Corporal Zeri. Puma is now there, and that's about all it is. He's there to showcase that I'm here to help, but the damage has already been done by Chiefs.
I think Top Wind just says, just be careful. BioPanther is missing on the KL. He could collapse, and that's the only issue that they would run into, so they'll disengage. They'll get the turret. They'll find themselves well and truly ahead and snowballing out of control. Really tragic game for Order so far, but I can't help but feel like we've seen this happen from Order 2 times out of 2 against the Chiefs. I don't know if it's just an unwillingness to show their hand, to play something into what feels like the most difficult game that they'll play for the rest of the season until playoffs.
Possibly.
Because like this could be... Oh, we'll hold that thought.
Going to go charging into the Night Blind. Tally goes golden for a second with the Demonic Ascension ramped up and ready to go. Can he flash out of harm's way? He can, so he survives for the meantime. Never Move doesn't connect, but it doesn't really matter because Chiefs still have the damage. Alidoric waiting for the hook. He's down the alleyway of danger, and it's a flash forward to lock in place Bio, who's already used that Divine Judgment, so he's got the damage he needs. Puma then turns it around and finds himself one.
BioPanther.
Same with Bio, who's got himself a shutdown, and Tapoon has been exhausted, so he's going to fall down as well. What a turnaround here from Order.
And Order just play with safe hands. They say Chiefs aren't perfect. They'll make mistakes. And they capitalize on the one time that it happens. They'll get themselves the Drake. They'll have an objective bounty with that as well as all of the shutdowns that they just secured. This game was, I think, 8,000 gold difference. It is still quite a large gold diff, but they find the fight thereafter. Insane angle from Gudo as well, using that dash to lock them down. Kale to, of course, keep him alive. Game plan is always don't let Viego get resets. And Alidoric hitting this hook just doesn't have the follow-up. I think their actual MVP in that little skirmish was Puma stopping the Gangplank pegs from being activated, constantly stopping Topoon, which means the BioPanther's not going to lose health, means the Viego's not going to get those resets, and they just stand and deliver the damage.
He certainly did. Raze and Tapoon unable to really shine and showcase their strength in this game, but thankfully for Raze, he didn't fall down on that occasion. He still retains the only champion bounty in the game, but that's huge for Order. Having sung the praises of Chiefs for what feels like the first 15 minutes, it's a big moment in this game.
I mean, it was getting out of control. It's still 6,000. Kisei still needs to be careful, but does very well to get out with his life. Good reactions. But you can see the glimmers of hope now for Order, right? You can see the Kale starting to squeak ahead, perhaps, and be a serious issue in this game. Azir as well, quiet farming is always a dangerous Azir. We've seen today already what Azeri can do to catch up into the game. You know, one moment, you get yourself back into this one. But you got to deal with a Titan in this Aphelios.
You certainly do. So far ahead that he can afford to rush a Collector to try and snowball before all that mitigation really comes on through and starts to shine. But just phenomenal to me, the fact that Kisei and Biopanther tried to be as risk-adverse as possible in the laning phase, and they've flourished in the regard of just farming up an absolute storm. 10 CS per minute, that's all you can ask for. Another 10 minutes, could be a very different game.
Absolutely, looking for the 3-item breakpoint for both of them, to say the least. I like the choice as well here, just quietly from Biopanther, the fact that he's gone for the Kraken Slayer with the Phantom Dancer. The full AD Kayle build has a high scaling AP mid laner to work with, so can afford to go this build. And especially when your Zeri isn't super far ahead, right? Is able to compensate and be an actual big scaling AD carry threat.
Yep, no Rift Maker today. All about that pure tank shred ability. Will be acting as that second AD carry on this front.
I think it's just kill Raze. If they can kill Raze, Order can stay in this game for sure.
For sure. So much gold, 1,000 to be exact to take down from that kill if they can find him. But Raze does have flash available at the moment. Baron has just spawned.
Hit it.
So Chiefs are going to start things up here.
No blue trinkets, no way to spot them. Gudo just going to have to face check. Corporal, almost 0 mana to his name. 2k on Baron, it's gone.
Baron is gone. Menulog Vigil goes across, and the fight is dead. Raze has heard the Gale force away. He's already burnt the flash. Rusty, he's stuck inside the pit, but can they win the fight to try and get themselves out of this one? Kisei jumps in and says, thank you very much. That's an Emperor's Divide, and that's 1k to my name. He goes golden. Tapoon says, I need to land this keg. And he's been stunned against the wall there by Gudo. He's going to die as well. He finds it on towards Gudo before he falls. But that means only one Baron buff remains in Aladoric.
That was a 4-for-1 trade in the end, in favor of Order. Massive teamfight victory for them consecutively now. They get Raze, they get the 700 gold shutdown, and while they lose the Baron, they get minion waves, they get the opportunity to push. We'll see this again, because it starts with the Baron all but gone. Aladoric, to be fair, completely removed. And Raze just caught, hit by the Yuumi ultimate, locked down, gets one hit by the damage coming out of Order. And Arthur just trying but not getting reset. Stuck in the pit, Kisei will find his angle. Stopwatch keeping him alive, is able to walk away from the keg. Does mean that Tapoon is just stuck in the pit. You can't ask for more if you're Order. Chiefs bottleneck themselves, lock themselves in a pit. Order take him down.
I certainly do, and that is a big swing of gold. It'll be interesting to see the post-game breakdown of what it all looks like, but Raze being so far ahead, and Biopanther very happy. Now he's only 500 behind, and yes, it is still a 4.5k lead for the Chiefs, but it's starting to get a fraction dicey.
We've said this, the Chiefs aren't perfect. They are prone to making some mistakes, and Order picking a scaling comp twice in a row now. Hooks on.
Another hook, Divine Judgment instantly comes out, and that responds to the depth charge
They
quite
still got
nicely.
him.
There's the Gravitum, he's just gone! There's the shutdown! The drag back, the claws, the DPS, and Arthur with the cosplay becomes the soul he wants to be. And it's a great time if they get the Baron but lose the fight. They've got a Dragon to play for in 10.
And it is still a very fragile Kayle build. The full AD crit build, looking to build into an Infinity Edge third. Can be one hit. Aladoric finds those angles, finds those hooks. He always finds a way. Guess they caught.
It's another drag back, and Emperor's Divide is going to die to the turret. He is! The final chapter, it's enough! That's fantastic. What a base defense towards that bottom tier 2.
They're going to lose mid though.
Raze is going to answer the call and sneak in the turret mid lane thanks to the minions.
But I like what Order just did there, Skimmy, right? They kind of bait their mid laner. If a hook connects, they're going to be there to reinforce him. That was an overreach from the Chiefs, to say the least, right? They just saw an angle, not perhaps keeping track of where the Zeri and the Yuumi were. But still, the Chiefs will break the base. They keep themselves a gold lead. They are still 5,000 gold ahead. Threatening Drake's Soul, right? Still able to play aggressively on the map and assert themselves. But we can't give up hope in what Order have in terms of scaling. We may actually get ourselves to a late game team fight here with everything on the line.
Nearly halfway there to those extra 10 minutes we said that could be the difference between Order really showcasing the true potential of this comp. But on cooldown, Aladoric is just chucking out these ults. He's just looking for any target that presents itself and hoping that they have the damage to follow up. They certainly do have the damage. Small Case trying to wrangle through all this mobility. and these stasis effects.
Another objective bounty there, though, from Biopanther as he breaks the bot lane outer turret. That means that there is only one outer turret standing, and that is the mid lane for Chiefs. Absolute bastion of hope. Very difficult one to break for sure. So much vision control for the Chiefs as well in neutral territory. We are very unfortunately hopping into a brief pause.
Certainly are. 24 minutes in, and we got a pause, which we'll update you on in just a second. But for the meantime, what a game. I mean, the tension really is there for this to mount into a phenomenal 40-minute banger. From what was just a huge bot lane start to be 5-0 as an Aphelios, for then Puma to find a way to answer back, to find himself a double, to become relevant once again, for them to mount that huge 4-for-1 trade on the Baron. There's moments, and I mean, this once again rises to the question as weeks go by, as the teams are getting better around them, all ramping up their efforts towards playoffs. Does this game have the writing on the wall to be the biggest challenge once again, superseding what we've seen before to try and take down the Chiefs?
Certainly building up to be that way. I mean, Biopanther right now is going to be an absolute lethal weapon. The more that he scales into this game, the more dangerous he becomes. I do think that going for a full crit build is more about team fighting than it is split pushing as well. Can't help but feel like a Gangplank can just handle you fine, because you both just instantly clear waves then instead. It's not going to be like a, you know, an AP on-hit build where you just sustain up. But has got the Yumi to keep him there. So the longer this game goes, the more and more devastating they could be for raw damage output. Chiefs are still the ones that have all of the engage, and I feel like if Order is walking into them, they're probably still losing the team fight.
I wouldn't contest you on that point. I will say, though, that this Azir is getting quite scary. Certainly finding its moments to shine from afar, but if those Emperor's Divides are there as well, they can certainly punish any over-eager members of the Chiefs, as we've seen so far. And that's what I'm getting concerned about, right? We've seen Kisei have moments. He was the deal difference, the deal breaker, the series winner in that Game 5, right, on the Silas. So he certainly got that sort of play and that style, or almost that confidence, the ego that you require as a mid laner to pop off and perform if called upon.
He certainly does. I mean, he's got that flair. He is an X factor in Order. He has been since he first joined the squad. Is win or lose, you know, by the hands of Kisei more often than anyone else in the team. But, you know, has those big moments, can hit those big stage games, as can Biopanther, to be perfectly honest. I don't know if there's any other top laners in the league that hit the Game 5 of a best-of series like Biopanther can. I would say that Topoon's more of a regular season player who's good in playoffs for sure, but I don't think he peaks in playoffs like Biopanther finds the new highs, you know? So it's always interesting to watch these two play, as Topoon will start the season being the best by miles, but it seems like Biopanther gets to match him by the end.
It does, and it's always an interesting conversation, especially, you know, going into playoffs, right? Who can handle the pressure better? And obviously this year is going to be even more exceptional because we're going to be playing on a live setting with a crowd on LAN, and that adds a whole nother degree, right? When players have been away from that setting for, what, 2.5 years now? So you start to ask the question of, you already feel pressure as it is, but then to be in front of thousands of fans, how well equipped are you for that moment to pop off and perform when you've done it so well during the regular season?
Certainly a question we'll be asking in this game prior to what could be a DreamHack Finals preview. And it's just trying to work out what's going on with this pause, so bear with us, guys. Apologies for the delays. We'll work through this as best we can. In the meantime, there is no meantime, actually.
There isn't.
There's no meantime. How about we just go back?
We're in.
How about we just go back?
We're ready to rock and roll.
No more apologies.
No more apologies.
just deal with it.
He takes it back.
No, take it back.
So if you're just tuning in, a quick recap on this game, the way it's worked so far. Chiefs had a, what, was close to an 8k gold lead. A phenomenal laning start there for Raze, who was 6-0 with a 1k shutdown bounty. They went for a Baron. They lost 4 of their members just to take out Goodo. Only Aladoric survived with that Baron buff, but they've now picked up that next Drake, so on par for a 30-minute banger into a soul point contest where, realistically, the likes of Bio and Kisei could have 3 items complete. I mean, we've already got it for Bio now.
Yeah, Biopanther's huge. 60% crit chance going to be done with the Infinity Edge there. I mean, we've got 2 minutes, 45 seconds until what could be an Infernal Soul. That is a must contest for Order. Prior to that, however, is a minute 20 until the Baron. So there is going to be a stipending between those objectives. Baron #1 priority resets into the Drake afterwards. does draw a big point of concern for Order, right? Because they are the ones that have to deal with both objectives respectively. And they're also the ones that now have to walk into the belly of the beast if they want to try and get that vision down. Biopanther, you can see, doesn't feel particularly safe after clearing that wave. He's actually going to move his way up. Probably going to have to walk through. Even maybe mid lane. I wonder how they actually play this one to contest it. Because Kisei has teleport, Bio has teleport, but if you don't have vision, you can't actually stop Baron being done. And then you probably can't stop the Drake.
No. I mean, just looking at the minimap right now, look how defensively minded Order's warding is. All the control wards surrounding their own base, just even leave.
Yeah, and they need to reset to get more control wards if they really want to break into the river. So right now, 2 to work with to be placed. 1 in the hands of Gudo, 1 in the hands of Kisei, who has just reset with a control ward. Biopanther can afford to go back because he has the teleport, but all things considered, wants to be here with the team. It's level 16. Has 3 items. 60% crit chance there.
Rabadon's complete now for Kisei as well as they claim another objective bounty, and what was an 8k lead shrinks down to now only 4. It's tense.
This is probably the moment for Order. If they do well here, then they've scaled into this game. They've got their items, they've got the damage, 100%. The Chiefs are still very dangerous. Hook hits.
Hook goes on, it's on towards Kisei. He's got the stopwatch, he's dead! He couldn't even hit the Zonyas, and that's a massive pick! They jump into action after exhausted, but still gets the soul! He's claimed you with the Heartbreaker, the turret goes down, Eladora peels away, and Biopanther, he might be strong, but the Divine Judgment just goes through. It does not matter. The class of Chiefs showcase that nothing will stop them.
And they just get the angle, the hook from Aladoric every single time. They will find the team fight that they were after, and now they're threatening perhaps with this inhibitor. They've got a Baron to disengage for. Puma may have just thwarted their efforts beyond the inhib itself. But just at the drop of a hat, they find the engage that they're after, and with 0 hesitation, the Chiefs take that, and they will most likely here secure themselves that Infernal Soul.
I have to watch that one back because the hook is just sumptuous onto Kisei. You're thinking there's the zone use, you've wasted your time, in comes Bio with the 60% turnaround. It just didn't work in that fashion. They're both, you know, equipped to be invulnerable. Chiefs just hit them with some insurmountable levels of burst.
And it's not even just the hook, right? It's the fact that the whole Chiefs roster follows the hook. It is blue weapon from Raze, straight out after flashing forwards. Topoon lines up the kegs, and they just keep them busy. Immediately with 0 hesitation, they get those first kills. After getting those resets, can't ask for much more. Biopanther unfortunately wastes the ult there as well, doesn't hold on to it. And the second it disappears, they go back in, they find him.
So much damage. You mentioned, as you say, yeah, the blue weapon, the Gale Force, the kegs, everything. There was literally no time to react, to even hit that switch. Infernal Soul picked up 4 dragons for the Chiefs. They had every buff in the game to work with. They went for that instead. Makes sense.
Ooh, big damage. Even bigger damage. You call that
Shield
a
bow
knife?
popped. How big was the fish, Rusty? It was this big.
He's been taken very low. Has to go back to base. Order. Gudo going to get Nautilus ulted, so he can't use the helicopter. Baron secured.
Baron's gone again. The drag back onto Biopanther. Gudo's looking for kills into Raze. Puma jumps into the pit looking for the 1v1. Raze is removed him from the game. Raze has got a triple kill. He's got a triple kill. He's found redemption for that base defense inside the Baron pit before. And the team this time will lose no casualties.
Chiefs way too much control right now. Way too much damage. They just try and get to the pit, but they don't have Kisei. And constantly Biopanther is stuck just trying to ult himself, but not actually dealing damage in the meanwhile. It feels like Chiefs more than strong enough now to be able to just close this game out. See how they play this one out. Order have given us hope, but that hope might have been just taken from us as fast as we got it.
Kisei still has ult to use. What can he do in this occasion? A TP comes out to hold that minion just a fraction longer. That's 2 members dragged on back. Raze and Arthur, those are the targets you'll be looking for. Raze, he's got the turret aggro, he's got the chakrams. He's just removed Gudo from the game. They're on towards the Nexus Ruddy. 30 minutes on the dot. I don't believe it. Chiefs still undefeated.
They had a little bit of spice to the mix. The old Chiefs and Order matchup, but still the result is as expected. Definitely got dicey. But it felt like just at the moment that the Chiefs got pressured, they got threatened. Oh, the celebrations have changed. Arthur's mixed it up.
No more high fives.
Tally came up to him with the high 10. He's like, come on. Arthur's like, nah.
Nah, bring it in,
That's
Chief.
not how it works anymore. It's a new patch.
Group hug, 1, 2, 3, the Chiefs.
New meta.
I'm sure it's something along those lines. But what a game. I mean, we were starting to really ramp up our conversation as to what were Auto about to do. They had the free item spike. They had the ability to try and really take it to them right after that pause. And you're thinking, here we go. The scaling this time is going to work. And then just Chiefs just burst into life, Mac.
Mate, it looked good for like that one fight, right? Where Order all got to do some damage and they didn't get deleted within 3 seconds of existing. And I started to believe, I was like, oh, okay. They got objective bounties up. They're actually getting some of those objective bounties as well. Things are going all right until they're all going all wrong. And Aladoric's just hitting hooks, getting roots, you know, doing every single thing he needs to do to just turn the damn game on its head again.
Dude, this is probably the best Kale performance, I'm sorry, Paprise, that I've seen in the LCO. One death, I believe, was 160 CS at maybe 24 minutes, so it was more than 10 CS per minute. And safely reaching the level 16 on Kale, which is the biggest spike you can get in the game. But I think the main thing that Oda lacked was a proper frontline, because if someone was able to tank those hooks from mid, where Aladoric got, I believe it was 1 onto Kisei and it was 1 onto Kale, where it actually became the game-changing point, this game could have been a lot more different. Because yes, we've seen Poppy maybe for the second time today, but it wasn't actually as impactful into the late game because you are supposed to be kind of more effective in the early game. But wow, choosing these team fights are so decisive, especially just, I know I keep talking about how Aladoric lands these really good hooks, but Raze's damage is just nuts. I believe his KDA was 10, 1, and 8 at the very end. So this really good performance from the Chiefs once again, and really solid scene.
I think it's just like the protocols, right? You talk about that split second like decision making that Chiefs are, I guess, just known for now. Like so successful with what they're doing. All committing, even if it's not the right option. If you throw enough bloody force at it, it sometimes just becomes the right option because the other team doesn't really know what to do. And Chiefs, they are one of these teams that are all on the same boat pretty much all the damn time. Getting that soul, getting 2 Barons in the end, and look at that gold graph as well. You can see that Order were really trying to fight their way back in, but then at the end, it just all went downhill. Anything crazy in terms of the builds we want to talk about? We could see that, what's that? The cold armor that we got off his
the Frostfire Gauntlet.
No. That Swain started the build. He was building the slow down the attack speed.
Oh, Frozen Heart.
Frozen Heart.
Frozen Heart, yeah. So I think that's what he's built the components of. Kitty pointed that one out, and I was just like, look, is that just for Kale? Is that just like Kale? Stop hitting me.
Zeri, Azir. It works for literally everyone, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really strong. I mean, it was just good to see a Viego build wasn't the chem tank. I was like, this is how you play Viego.
Very true. Look, we have the right man on the line to ask all these questions to. It's Mr. Smiley, Mr. Tally. Let's bring him in. Mate, how you doing after that? And quickly, before you tell me how you're doing, changing the post-game celebration, we're getting huddles going on.
Yeah, I don't know. Miriam was just being spontaneous or something, but he didn't actually have a speech. It feels all fake.
It was all for show, and you know, Miru just did like the dirtiest look on you. He's like, I've been exposed. But let's talk about that game because it was actually really exciting from the green room. Me and Mac were like shouting. But did you guys feel pressured at all seeing that Kale was actually going to become a problem alongside Azir?
I mean, definitely. I think that the early game was really good. We were really like comfortable, and then like when we threw a dragon and like Kale got shut down, it's like we overchased into a team fight. Like we definitely will get punished because like their comp is just 3 scaling lanes, and like if we did reach like the ultra late game, then we couldn't really play. So like we definitely felt the pressure.
Now, do you feel like that was the most pressure you felt from any team so far? Like you haven't been too close to a loss? Did this feel like the closest point, or are other teams pushing you more mentally?
No, I would definitely say that was like the most pressured I felt in the game because it's very rare that like we get like hard outscaled in drafts, and especially in LCO. So like throwing against a scaling comp is always like the most scary because your only option is to just like outplay them as like a smart player. You can't really out micro them. So, and that's like something that's really hard to do like against professional players on stage. So it was just like we felt pressure definitely.
And we did see some smart plays coming out of Chiefs where I believe it was Alador getting some really crucial hooks in that mid lane. So who actually makes these cutthroat decisions in that very, very decisive team fights?
Just pretty much like whoever has like the tools to go, so which is Ali this game on the Nort, like he just wants everyone, because like there's windows where like Nort doesn't, Kayle doesn't have flash, Azir doesn't have flash, like just we need to play like on 2 lanes in group and like force as hard as we can. And we kept finding like the right champions at the start of fights, which was like really lucky for us. Because I think if we're unable to find these like engages, it's really hard for us to just like do Baron in front of them. So like it was mainly Ali who was making these really good calls.
Well, there you go. Beautiful performance today again, even though you did feel the pressure. Clean. Keeping it clean. No L's just yet. Take this W, King. We'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
I feel like I want to huddle too. I haven't been in the huddle for ages. I just saw that. I was like thinking back to sports when you get in the huddles, you get all pumped. And I was like, I
You
like
got to
even
become a player then.
True.
Back on stage.
But
Free
you played
huddles.
with me. Do you think that I have the skills right
No.
now to become a League of Legends player?
Already answered.
He already did. Anyway, Dare MVP time. It's not
Shut
me.
him down.
It's one of those gamers in the server. I reckon I'm throwing Ali's name up there. Ray's had a ridiculous performance as well today.
I know when Raze doesn't get it, he gets really, really upset.
I
Yeah.
know.
So I'm going to give it to Raze.
Okay.
Yeah, Alidoric.
You know, Ali actually messaged me. He's like, every time you give it to me, Raze gets really pissed. But I'm like, only support main. Okay, well, he said that Rusty and Kitty were biased because we're support mains. But only
True.
support mains can tell when a support player is actually carrying an actual game.
Okay, yeah. How
So-
did that game go the way of the Chiefs? It was a Nautilus hook in mid lane onto a carry. Therefore,
Twice.
the Raze, Aphelios ultimate that followed up was really well done on the hook that won the game, which is more valuable. Therefore,
Where's the house ADCs? I need someone to
Therefore,
do the...
Raze.
Therefore, Raze.
is second runner-up to Alidoric.
Come on, Mac.
I'm going to let production decide
Come on,
because
Mac.
I don't want to be on anyone's bad side.
All
Who
right.
is the Dare MVP of the day? Let's see what
Up
appears
the
on the
Kiwis.
screen. Ah, it's Alidoric. All right.
Ah,
The bargain was sold. There you go. 0-3
Raze
and
is not going to
20.
show up next week.
90% KP, but a lot of those percentages are big old impact. And of course, you can't really talk about that with the stat. 10% damage share. Man is now #1 on the leaderboard after some big performances and a whole damn lot of these Dare Us Coffee most valuable players.
and with respect to Alidoric, I do think that he played extremely well in this game. Tally even said in the interview, right?
Yeah.
Was making the calls that won them the game in a very dicey situation against a lot of scaling champions. The fact that he finds those angles is kind of why you want Alidoric on your team, because he has that unique killer instinct that no other support seems to have.
Yeah.
And is very deserving in this game of having the Dare MVP.
It's one of those things, right, where you're talking about angles, and there's like actual angles in the game, but then it's also the things like tracking the flashes, making sure they can't just get out of those routes whenever they need to. All this, all that. It doesn't really matter unless you're in the server, in the game. Had a lot of those today, a lot of plays. Oh, what's that? You want to talk about the best play of the day? Do you have anyone for
That
me?
fight that won them the game, where it gets the gets the kill onto the Azir and then onto the Kayle for me. That was the
Could be the one in mid prior.
juicy one.
Did it have to be from that game, though?
I
sure.
don't remember any game prior.
For sure. Or Skimmy, you're
Game
going to be
one had
disappointed.
some good ones.
Has to be Peace Kanga, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Fido's double snare, double stun.
Maybe. Let's have a look, shall we? We'll see which play it was.
Here we
If
go.
it's any of the ones mentioned or one that might not have been
Oh,
mentioned
this
at
is
all.
so good.
Kitty remembered.
Yay!
And there you go. So big old ult. Second man picked up off the back of it. And even though it's that 2-on-3, we do have that bot lane rotating in to save the damn day. But it was Fido picking up 3 big banger kills here on that Cass. And inevitably started that snowball to success for Kanga.
Welcome, Benvi, to the LCO. Die for the cause. You're playing Yumi. Thank
This is
you
evolving.
very much. Here we go. Okay, Big Claire, let's show us the magic. This is so nice.
Just the angle. The fact that he didn't... I don't think he even knew that that second player was there behind the wall as well, but still got the stun on the ult. Unless I'm mistaken, but I just don't think that there was vision there. Either way, 3 big kills for a big man that had a big smile on his big face for the big dub.
It was a really big dub for Kanga because like we said that every single match from now on will be a must win, and with Fighter performing like this, then it's looking very, very promising for the next few games.
It's one of those things, I even saw people popping off on Twitter talking about the Kanga redemption arc. No matter if it was OPL or the LCO here, there's always like that fight for the 6th/5th position. And then we always have these like crazy comebacks in the playoffs. Don't know what's in the water over here, but it just always seems to bloody happen, doesn't it?
What's exciting for me about Kanga is they've now actually got more wins than they got in Split 1. So the evolution is there, right? It's 7 wins compared to 6 last split. So it's good to see that, you know, they've had to obviously change their roster multiple times, even another change today, but still the formula's working. So hopefully it continues.
Hopefully it does. Now let's have a look at the standings and see where everyone's sitting pretty after today's games. Day 1 of Week 8. Chiefs still up there undefeated. Direwolves jumping up with Order, who copped that L. So we have 2 teams sitting in 2nd now. Pentanet, the only team in 4th, and Peace, with that loss earlier, means they're down in 5th and just 1 win ahead of Kanga now, who are really chasing Peace. Look, 1 win from Kanga means they're actually going to take that 5th position because they got that head-to-head today. So big storylines coming through and a big day of games with a whole bunch of action, to be honest. Tomorrow, though, we have just as much fun, just as much action, and 2 games that have 1-to-1 head-to-heads. One of them is that Order Pentanet game. The other is that Kanga Direwolves game. So we have, look, I'm looking at least 3 games here that are going to be potential pop-offs.
Yeah, in my opinion, I actually am looking forward to that last game as well because Kanga, like today, did extremely well. Dials also did extremely well, where Suman and Fighter were both the superstars of their teams.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a lookout for me, but match of the week is 7 p.m. So
yeah.
see you guys all there.
Make sure you don't miss that one because if PGG win it, not only do they have the head-to-head, but they will also be jumping up into 2nd with the rest of the damn teams as well. So big stakes on a lot of the lines there. A lot of barbecues, maybe. Wrong kind of stakes, but at the same time, we have content from you guys. It's not just us making the content today. It's you guys sending them in because you've made some champs before from the fans. Let's see what you have submitted throughout the day. Who you're playing as your main champion. Ark does fitness. What's your deadlift, mate? I just want to know. But I also want to know who you play. Yeah?
Pretty big, yeah.
Pretty big? Oh,
Yeah.
I'll have a look after this one. But for now, Garen, because I have small brain and big... Hey, I played him yesterday. I did like the fact that I didn't have mana. I didn't have to back
That
the
was
mana.
literally the only... We got into Champ Select, and you said, does Garen have mana? We said no, and you said perfect, and locked it in.
I don't need to leave lane.
Yeah.
It's genius. Now, look, jumping
he
on to
regenerates health back.
another
Exactly,
one.
it's the perfect champion.
It's lovely. Dar. Urgot is love. Urgot is life. Is it true?
Is Urgot life?
No.
I feel like he's a creation. I don't know lore.
Hey, Kitty.
He's also like
Lore?
some kind of deity.
All I say
Oh,
to
no.
Urgot is kill the crab. I just say
Kill
that
the crab.
Well,
multiple
to be
Kill the
times.
crab.
fair, Urgot does
Kill
have
the
a
crab.
cult, and he
Kill
is
the
the
crab.
worshipped cult person. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know. So yeah,
Okay.
maybe Da is a big fan of Urgot as well.
Found the
certainly is.
cultist.
Let's jump on into number 3. Who we got? Davo. We love Davo. I want to main Sona because she's fun to play. I'm terrible at squishy champs though, so end up on Nort or Leona. Isn't Nort like the most squishy champ? I think we found that out the last couple of months.
If you miss your hooks, Nautilus is always very squishy. It's very true.
Very true.
Stick to Leona, Davo.
Yeah, I do agree with the Leona point there. Now jumping on to the final one for the day. Who is it? It's Deadly Ghost. Haha, Yi Saber goes burr. Very true. Master Yi because Star Wars skin. Yep. And he is very fun, especially after the changes. I actually heard you get roasted if you use that Star Wars skin.
Really?
No, I have. They're like, oh, of course you play that skin.
That's when you just go
That's
slash
a
mute.
green skin. Everyone has that skin.
But it has this like cool whoop whoop whoop.
Do you drop the
sound,
whole
you know?
ratio one-liner? Cringe plus L plus
No,
ratio
but
plus
I
you
actually-
fell off
I
plus
got the,
silver plus lol.
The
Keep it a
Snow
stack.
Day Yi. So I
The
unlocked
carrot
busting.
nosy.
No
carrot.
Oh
No
no.
carrot sword.
Bust
Yi.
down.
That's not the one, man.
What?
Debonair Yi is the one.
There's just no Yi skin that I want to see. I don't want to see Yi.
Why not?
Because I don't want to see Yi.
It was one of the few games we've won in the last couple of days. Was when I played Yi. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yep.
What about
Surely that.
Michael Jackson Master Yi? And then whenever he gets a
Oh
kill,
no.
The streamer that says Michael Jackson makes me so
Michael
happy.
Jackson.
Anyway,
Yeah.
on that note, we got one more day of games for week 8. To get there, we got to close the show. Ladies and gents, thank you very much for watching the LCO delivered by Menulog. We'll see you tomorrow with much more action and 2, maybe 3, maybe even 4 big games.
Getting those Ren stacked and eventually you're dead instead.
Oh, and you make D dead instead as well. Look at that. The face check into the Cassiopeia. Things you shouldn't do, and that is certainly one of them. Out goes the hostile takeover, but it does not matter. Double kill now for Fido. He's going to run them all on down.
Oh,
You
the
can get the
flashes.
Ren stacks, but I've got the poison. It's burning. There's a triple. We're going to hunch underneath that turret. Get that quad. Here goes Golden. Same with the snake, and out comes Jarvan. Exert your wallet because the stolen baseball bat doesn't hit anything. It's a bit of an airball. There's the hostile takeover. Lennius is going to walk out that one. Thomas Shen cops the turret shot, and then a follow-up afterwards as Poltron is ever so fast. Look at him go with the bailout. There's the wraparound Simon flashing into action. He's removed to mid laner, and now he's taking your jungler too. He's going to dash across this wall and then chains on in, looking for that tank tag. There's the Thorny Shadow once again, and he's got the Demonic Ascension on towards 3 members with a flash to secure it if he needed to. He's still going on through. There's another chain, there's a passive, and there's an attack to get himself in the mix one more time. That's Wintret finding his 3rd kill off the game. Same to be said actually of Rogue as well.
The Chiefs are still very dangerous. Hook hit.
What goes on? It's on towards Kissa. He's got the stopwatch. He's dead. He couldn't even hit the Zonyas, and that's a massive pick. They jump into action after Exhaustive. It still gets the soul. He's claimed you with the Heartbreak, and the turret goes down. Elagor peels away, and Bipepper, he might be strong, but the Divine Judgment just goes through. It does not matter. The class of Chiefs showcase that nothing will...
Hey, look, menu bog.
All that's going to be at DreamHack is heavy hitters. That includes you guys. You need to get those tickets. We're going to be there Friday. We're going to be there Sunday. There's going to be a lower bracket final as well as a damn grand final. So 3 teams are going to be able to qualify through the playoffs to DreamHack. LCO.gg/DreamHack if you want to get those tickets. Kitty, have you got yours?
No, Mac, where can I get my tickets?
LCO.gg/DreamHack. Just in
Thank
case
you,
you
Mac.
missed it in the first
Where do I get
time.
it back?
I've got my ticket now. Thank you, Mac.
DreamHack,
Thank you,
guys.
Mac.
Now, look,